we have the Page of Swords and the Knight of Coins. Page of Swords is pretty quick moving young man. He's willing to take a risk. He's willing to think outside the box. He's willing to get out there and make some things happen, right? He's energetic and youthful and maybe not the most logical all the time, but he's trying. And the knight here, he's a very slow moving knight. He is out on the front line, but he's not engaged. He's sitting back and thinking long-term strategy. He's more slow moving in his energy, and his focus is on, this guy's more about the swords. A lot of times are our thought processes, and the coins are our physical space. Sorry, excuse me. So in your mental space this month, there may be this push and pull of, I need to think long term, but I need to make some choices now. And how am I balancing those energies? Am I keeping these, okay, I'm moving and I'm being decisive. How is this affecting me long term? And that playing a role in your life, whether it be, especially in monetary, like I have to make a choice about a career. I have to make a choice about an investment. I have to make a choice about my diet. I have to make a choice, and not because it's going to benefit me tomorrow or next week, but what about 6 months, 6 years, 60 years if you're young enough and will live that long? How are the choices I'm making today affecting my material world tomorrow? I feel like October may be a time where you're readjusting some of those things, or it's just become very apparent that you do need to make some long-term decisions about something specific in your life. Let's pull a card for your physical space. I guess we're pulling 3 cards for your physical space. We have the Queen of Coin, the Chariot, and the Ace of Cups. You guys are going to get a long reading today, I think. I'm going to get a drink. Jeez. Okay. Definitely movement happening in your financial space. Aries, there may be becoming more and more apparent to you that scheduling, budgeting, knowing your actual worth of things, having a more mature and healthy relationship with money and with your physical space or your body. These cards coming up in your physical space is, and this is like potential for connection. So in your physical space this month, whether you're going to the gym or speaking with a financial advisor or just sitting down and getting your life a little bit more organized, it may spark something in you that's like, oh, I get to interact with some different people, or I really like doing this. And I know, Aries, you might be like, for real? But you might really enjoy maturing your energy when it comes to finances and long-term goals. And I'm not telling you to run out and become a day trader or something, but just being in more control of your finances, being more control over how you procure, like how how am I making money? How am I spending my money? How am I, and what choices do I need to make? And what is my connection to this? You might find an aspect of that kind of energy, something you really enjoy this month. Let's pull a card for your emotional space. All right, I laughed because as I started this with, last month was let it go, and this is a let it go card. So emotionally, if that's something that you're still working on, it's always a progress, a journey, or, there's always progress to be made. I don't know if we ever get to the point where we're not carrying around any crap from our past or what have you, because life still goes on and things are still happening all the time. So you can acquire things as we go, unfortunately. But so emotionally, this guy obviously cannot go climb that mountain carrying all these cups, right? And he didn't break them, he didn't smash them, he didn't turn them over. They're displayed nicely, but they are not his anymore. He is moving on. So having a good, healthy release of past emotional relationships, connections, baggage, attachments, so on and so forth. I think this is coming out in your emotional space to encourage more of it. But we already have the renewal piece here. So I think it's just like a reminder that this is an ongoing process, that letting it go and learning to let it go. And it's amazing. And this may be why you're having all of this really beautiful, positive energy coming out in your mental and physical space of you feeling much more capable, much more mature, much more connected to. Your perspective is shifting due to being able to put things down that aren't yours anymore, or you get into a better alignment with yourself. Let's pull a card for your spiritual space. Oh, wrong deck. That one's coming next. I guess it really doesn't matter. Knight of Cups. Gee whiz. It's a lot of two knights in the Chariot, and I always kind of think of him as the same kind of, they're riding horses and he's riding whatever these things are pulling his carriage, The Knight of Cups also is a slower moving knight. The other two knight cards are much faster and more like engaged. These guys are like, hold up a little bit. But it's more of a widened perspective, like I said. They're not right down in the midst of things, but close enough to have a good vantage, right? I just see this as a lovely connection to self and to your emotions being fed through your spiritual life, whether that's going to church, an organization, some kind of spiritual meeting, or your church might be watching YouTube videos. Whatever it is that's your thing, that connects you to you, that fills your soul a little bit. I feel like you are feeling in a good place of, there's movement there. It feels good. I'm emotionally connected. And that may be what's helping you let go of stuff that doesn't serve you anymore, is whatever you're bringing in terms of your spiritual life is helping you have some momentum and has you feeling like you're making progress in your overall general emotional health kind of thing. So if you're new here, I'm now going to stop the video, move some things around, and we'll get into the second part of the reading. All right, Aries. I have a new deck, and we're gonna pull some more cards. I'm gonna start with a main theme or energy that you may have to deal with. Another coins card. So we already had the Knight and the Queen, and talking about feeling good in your physical space and so forth, and thinking about long-term physical space. And this is the 10. It's the card of completion. It's like, okay, I've created this what's the word, estate for my family. I always see it as not just what you create for yourself, but what are you going to be passing on material world wise to your family, or what kind of it's like the security you've created there. And I don't necessarily think that it's like a accumulation of wealth, money wealth, but wealth in general as a human. And what are you passing on in your physical space to your descendants? It's coming out with kind of a defensive card. Like he has the upper ground, right? But he's having to defend himself. So this coming out as the main energy, if you are recently, because of being able to let stuff go, transitioning into a place of making better choices and whatever, because whatever this choice may be, if you've really changed your perspective, remember the people around you don't always know why or how or when we experience this shift of perspective. Okay, I want to do something different now, or I want to approach this in a different way, and I'm making a conscious choice to live a different life, or whatever it is. If you are up here making choices and have gone from like living day to day to wanting a 5 and 10 and 20-year plan, that might be met with some resistance. And I don't think it's necessarily in a horrible way, but people are just maybe confused, like what's going on with you, or there might be some like back and forth here of you having to defend yourself to people because of the choices you're making, and because of where you're finding your worth, or where you're finding your connection, or the things you're letting go of emotionally. But I feel like it's okay. Like you're okay. It's not your responsibility to make them happy with the choices you're making. It's your responsibility to make the best choices you can for yourself, and to feel secure in knowing you are doing the best you can for you, and doing the least amount of damage to anybody else. But how others perceive you and your choices, that's their prerogative. I'm going to take both of those. I feel like there's a sense of not wanting to be naive. So the Fool card, like, he is just jumping off the cliff, man. He's just going with the flow. It's a young, naive, foolish. I don't think fool in a negative connotation, though. Fool in this just security of trusting that everything's just gonna go your way. But this is coming out as a challenge. So you may still be dealing with some of the letting go of control, or letting go of how you used to do things, and just you don't want to be naive. You don't want to and this keeps coming up, or I keep looking at it. This was from the cards we pulled earlier for your mental space. Like, this card, he's usually talked about as a more immature, youthful energy, but I don't always take it as a negative and saying immature. It's just like fresh-faced, and they may not always have the answer because they're newer. I see this as almost like an apprentice, or someone who's in it. They know what they're doing, but they're not a master yet. So I think you may just be fearful if this is new, like, okay, I gotta make these long-term choices. And this is new to me. I just feel like this is new, whatever this month you may be feeling, this is new to me. I'm not sure what to do here, but I know what I want. And I know that this security is important. And I know I need to keep pulling this kind of energy into my life. I need to stay here, is what I'm getting. But you don't want to be naive, and you don't want to be foolish, and you don't want to just trust that it's going to be okay. And the Four of Cups coming here, like, this person is here with his cups, and that's all. Like, he is not, all the glitz and the glam in the world is not making him pay attention to that right now, right? And this is coming as a challenge, so it may be hard for you. And there's this Ace of Cups up here in your emotional space. If you're too focused inwards, you may miss some connection, some potential for connection, whether this be a new friend or someone who's some kind of new emotional connection or potential that you could miss out on if you're too inside of yourself. And if you're working on letting a whole bunch of cups go, you don't want to pick up new ones all the time. But I think this is coming out in the challenge just to remind us that just because this or that happened in the past and you have to deal with it, not to turn yourself too off to potentials. And I'm not saying you just broke up with someone, you're going to go find someone new, not in a romantic way necessarily, but in a just a human connection, being open to seeing potential in people that share passions or commonalities with you that could facilitate a healthy relationship in any regards of that word. So regardless of where you're at in your head and trying to get your physical world put together and whatnot, I think this is just coming out as a challenge to remind us to not take too much time. It's okay to pause and be like, okay, I need to sort out what I'm leaving and what I'm taking, but not to the extent where you're not allowing any possibility, any potential to come in to further, relationships in your life.